Tell this to Lake and Riley's parents. Tell this to all of those people who have been killed by illegals. Tell this to the children who have been mutilated behind all of these executive orders that he signed for the transgender surgeries and all this type of stuff. I mean, who was really behind this?
Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely.
Heritage put out a paper noting that Joe Biden, with the exception of his announcement that he was not going to seek re-election, was using Autopen to sign his executive orders. I mean, his executive order signatures are computer perfect in almost every document, except for the one document that we know he signed himself. So who was really the president? Who was really running the country? Who was making the decisions? Because Autopen works for anybody with the code. Anybody who can access it can put your signature on things. It makes me wonder if it was a cognitive ability or disability, why someone else was making those decisions for him, or has he always been kind of this liberal Trojan horse? He technically holds the office, but the minions are actually running the show. There's a lot of money saying that it was Jill. I don't think she has that capacity. I'm just going to keep it really honest with you. But I think there were definitely some Soros-backed liberal bad actors that took this as their opportunity with this blank slate of a human being. God bless them. Dementia is hard. I know my father suffered with it. Dementia is hard. But the people who used him and abused him, there's a special place in hell for you, a very special place in hell for you. But I do want to know who the president was for those 4 years, who was making those decisions, who had the passcodes to the Autopen, and who was signing what based on whose authority.
My God, that's scary. That is so scary. A real life Manchurian candidate is what we had in office over the last 4 years. And folks, I want you guys to sound off on this. What do you think about this? Is horrifying. And folks, let's get this video to 600 likes before the stream ends. I know you guys can do it. Hit that like button now and subscribe if you haven't done so. Let's spread this truth. I hadn't heard that talked about much in the mainstream media. I wonder why.
Well, yeah, it just came out over the weekend. Interestingly, it came out over the weekend when the news cycle is a little bit not as active. So people are just starting to hear about it.
It should be front page.
It should be. But we've said on here, certainly over the last year, maybe year and a half of the, I think it was the Biden presidency, that he was out to lunch, if you will, eating ice cream, falling off bikes, falling up the steps, things like that. This does need to be investigated. This is beyond a coup. This is basically treason.
It is.
Yeah,
it absolutely is.
Tell this to Lake and Riley's parents. Tell this to all of those people who have been killed by illegals. Tell this to the children who have been mutilated behind all of these executive orders that he signed for the transgender surgeries and all this type of stuff. I mean, who was really behind this? And once again, these people need to be prosecuted. They took advantage of an elderly, degenerative man. And Jill Biden, she hasn't been talked about enough. They need to go, like you said, Nicole, there's a cold place in hell. Is it a hot place in hell? Well, wherever it is, where they need to be. Because they
definitely
took advantage of them.
Definitely hot.
Yeah, a hot place in hell, yeah. She need to be charred.
Let's also remember now, let's not burnish his legacy. It is unfortunate that he has dementia, but this is a man who worked alongside Strom Thurmond, tried to resegregate the school system, Tara Reid, okay, that whole thing, whatever happened with that. So this was not in any way, shape, or form. This was not a nice man. You can go back and look at videos of him. Very arrogant, very imperious, talking about his IQ when in fact he was one of the dumbest people in his law school class. So yeah, it is. It is unfortunate, but I'm going to give him the John McCain treatment. Yeah, okay, you were a veteran, and it is unfortunate you were captured. You were a piss poor senator and a warmonger, also. So yeah,
Right.
Biden had dementia, but Biden is an evil bastard, also.
And and again, I'm only giving him for the last year, 2 years, maybe for the dementia. You're right, Tyrone. Up until then, I think he, Nicole, you were saying maybe 4 years. I don't think so, because he was too arrogant to not be in charge, at least for the last 1 to 2 years with his dementia. Up until then, he wants to take all the credit, all the glory for whatever he did. So he wouldn't let anybody else do that.
It's scary, though. It's just scary to think that, we were on the brink of World War. We're still kind of teetering. Russia's being Russia, the Ukraine's being a spoiled brat. Iran is saber rattling. North Korea is firing ballistic missiles. We got some stuff to resolve. Imagine if we would actually have had a president who had his eyes on the prize, who was paying attention for the last 40 years. Could we have avoided some of this? I will never include the holy war that's going on in Israel. Never going to include that, because that's going to rage on for eons. But the rest of these skirmishes and wars, if we would have had clear thinking individuals leading the nation, would the world be in this state? I mean, it's not
pullout.
Yeah, it's not just a thing that affected America. I mean, the whole entire world. This is outrageous behavior and absolutely needs to be investigated.
Yeah, Trey's Chocolate City, thank you for your super chat. Says, watch the movie 0 Day. Absolutely. We have Kung Fu CJ says, my wife has dementia, and I feel you, Nicole. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
The Scrapping Beauty with the $10 super chat says, I appreciate your input and output in explaining not just civics, but how politics affects all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura says, our country has been running on autopilot. Absolutely, folks. I'm not super old, but I'm old enough to say and have seen that when you, especially, and I'm talking about President Biden, when you live a life like he has and you harm people, especially if it was intentionally, and as you mentioned, Tyrone, he was a cruel man. He wasn't a good person. He was not. You will suffer. You will suffer. And I'll share this quick story. I know of a friend of a family friend who was a womanizer. The man was very nasty throughout his life, just handling women any old kind of way, treating them any old kind of way. He didn't take care of his kids. And as he got up in age, he contracted diabetes. And right before he died, he lost his limbs because of the diabetes, including his penis. His penis fell off. God is not playing around, folks. Isn't that something?
I'm going to pay a lot more attention to these diabetes commercials.
Right. Tyrone's face was priceless. He's like,
I didn't know that was possible. Wow.
Is it, Shelly? That's what I think it was diabetes he had.
Why are you asking me?
Huh? Oh, I know you know about all this, the sexual
I have to say, I have never heard of someone's penis just falling off like that. I mean, if anything, it would have to be surgically removed for whatever reason.
Oh, no, it was not surgically removed. He started to lose his limbs, and one of them was his penis.
Why don't you tell me about this diabetic thing before I started eating the dessert, KJ? You watched me eat the dessert, KJ.
Well, Tyrone, you're a good man. So you have nothing to worry about. You're a good man. But I just say that to say, there's always consequences, and I hope he has repented. I hope he has, maybe made his way right and whatever. It doesn't seem like he has, but I'm not going to judge.
He's still alive.
LML says, I pity the poor fool that found it.
Wait, I hate to laugh. I mean, I'm serious. I'm telling you that this is something.
KJ, I'm laughing because number one, I think this is far-fetched, but
everybody talks about it in my family. It was a huge thing. They say, wow, he was
he got Lorena Bobbitt. His wife came in there. One of the women came in there.
His limbs fell off, his toes, his penis.
They didn't fall off like that. They didn't just fall off like that, but okay.
So when their limbs don't come off, they might lose a toe, right? But their limbs don't come off. We remove, we amputate.
KJ don't.
But again, it may have been a situation where one of them ladies that he was misusing and abusing went in and gave him the snip.
Tyrone, have you heard of this?
Thank God, not until tonight.
Oh, exactly. Okay.